The hacker who went to war with Riot Games 2 days ago? Let's click back here, actually. What is this?
If you were playing games on PC in the early 2010s, there's a real good chance you tried out the smash hit success MOBA League of Legends. The game was everywhere, and by late 2012, it was considered the most popular game on PC globally, as well as one of the most popular games ever created.
Yeah.
But, of course, massive success also comes with massive responsibility. Riot Games, the creator of League of Legends, quickly discovered that attention can be both good and bad. This is the story of Jason.
I don't know if it's gonna be about him, but there was a hacker that threatened to release Riot's code or sell it, but no one wanted to buy it. I don't know if that's about him, but there was something like that.
Hacker who went to war with Riot Games. The original investigation and reporting were conducted by Esports Hall of Fame.
Proudly stating never played League of Legends, keep it that way. I, unfortunately, am a League of Legends player, and I'm telling you, keep it that way. Don't play.
Journalist Richard Lewis. The brilliant write-up can be found at the link in the video description, as well as where he posts his new work. So now let's travel back to the bygone era of League of Legends' early lore, fame, and infamy.
I miss the early days of
Twitch
League,
and
man.
League of Legends ascending to the most popular but also most
I miss
watched
the early
video
days of
game
League.
in the world, there existed a now disgraced content creator called Phantom Lord.
Oh my god! Phantom Lord!
During one of Phantom Lord's streams, he suddenly found himself kicked out of his account. He tried to log back in, but couldn't. During this time, he was still live, remarking about how he might have been hacked.
Locked in elsewhere.
Think so.
And spoiler, he had been. When he regained control of the account, he discovered that the hacker had transferred the account to the Brazilian servers.
What?
This was all captured live and exists as the origin story for Jason the hacker.
Wait,
So usually
what?
after being the victim of a hack, the assumption is that the user is to blame, because we all assume that our details that secure the account are safeguarded by very basic practices by the company in question. In this case, we would be incorrect in that assumption. Phantom Lord had not handed out his password, it wasn't password 123, he hadn't downloaded some malicious code that gave access to the hacker, it was not his fault. It was, according to reports, the fault of Riot Games and a data breach that occurred in 2012. So it may have started with Phantom Lord, but messing with streamers was just the beginning, because right now, Jason was about to begin committing absolute chaos. You see, back at this time, Riot Games and pretty much every other video game company maintained a forum for their game's community.
Oh my god, I
This
remember
was the
forum.
way that users shared their feedback, discussed the game, found friends, and any other number of community-based activities. The forum was, of course, moderated and maintained by Riot Games themselves. But it was here that an account named Devil started to make threats to that community, saying that he was going to release information on other users, essentially claiming to have the ability to dox members of that community. Each message that was left was signed with the name Jason. Now, before we go on explaining how Jason continued to up the ante, exposing himself to the world and making Riot Games look really bad, let's discuss what motivates an individual to do what Jason was now doing. There's only a handful of reasons that somebody would risk going to prison for hacking a video game developer. The first is obviously for the financial motivation, stealing data to sell, blackmailing the company.
Some people just do it to troll for some fucking reason, man. Some people are generally just quote-unquote trolls.
Using the game code to develop hacks. Whatever the plan is, the end goal is to make money. Another reason could be personal. It could be a vendetta against the company, the product, or perhaps one or more people working there. One more reason could be as an agent of chaos. To simply do it because you can.
So
because
a troll.
It's funny, because it's interesting,
there it is, a troll.
or because the attention it will receive. Of course, most times it's not black or white, or 0 to 100. Often it will be a little bit from column A, a little bit from column B, and so on. But looking at this situation, it seems fairly obvious. I mean, if you were hacking for money or for personal reasons, there's a very high chance you'd want to remain anonymous for as long as possible. hopefully forever, so that you can just escape with the money. But in the case of Jason, while he would eventually start to cash in, clearly he was doing this predominantly for the attention, which is why he initially went after the biggest streamer in League of Legends.
Yeah, look, he literally just did this for attention. What the fuck? League isn't even that great in my opinion. Yeah, I agree, League isn't even that great.
Why he was going after high MMR players, anyone prominent in the community, and also signing his name each time.
Yeah.
It was a calling card at the scene of a crime, creating a breadcrumb trail leading back to his work. He wanted everybody to know.
Easy peasy, attention.
Jason. I don't think he wanted to be caught, but he obviously wanted to generate fame from the actions. So over the coming days and weeks, Jason continued to gain access to high-profile League of Legends accounts, transferring them to Brazilian servers, and threatening people on chat rooms and forums. It was all about that power. And power is exactly what Jason had, because to make it all the more chaotic, he somehow gained access to an administrator account on the forums, and was using this to orchestrate a very confusing pantomime. There was no way to tell what a real message from a real user was, or a message that had been created or edited by Jason. At the time, one user by the name of GOP Gangster used the forum to recount his experience with Jason. He was first contacted.
Scary. That's scary because at the time being, I was occasionally using the League forums too. I didn't use them much, but I did use them a handful of times.
Told in no uncertain terms that Jason was going to steal his League of Legends account. Now, of course, we've been on the internet for a long time, you and me, right? We've been playing video games for decades. We've probably all had the same messages. Somebody gets angry about something you did in the game, or angry about something you said online, and then they said they're going to report you, that their dad works at Disney or Bungie, and they're going to ban you.
My father works at Riot Games!
And kiss you on the lips. Whatever it is, we've all heard the same things. Usually we laugh, we
You better watch out or I'm gonna kiss you on the lips!
Play into it, we say go ahead, do your worst, maybe a little bit more colourfully, but we never ever believe them, because we've heard it so many times and it's so outlandish. But in this case, with Jason, it was all true. Jason had the means to do what he said.
It's my favorite champ? I have a handful of favorite champions. Obviously Ari, Vex, Briar, Yumi, Lux, Akali,
found this out
Jinx,
very quickly, because suddenly
Zoe.
his account quit the ranked team he was part of, at which point one of his friends messaged the account saying, "Why have you left?" The account responded with 4 simple words: "I am God, Jason." The account was then transferred to the Oceanic servers. Now, in an isolated incident, again we could blame the individual here, but according to GOP Gangster, his password was incredibly complex and random, making it very unlikely to have just been guessed
complex
or
much,
brute
yeah.
forced. And of
I am
course,
God!
the main concern wasn't the League of Legends account, it was the fact his credit card had been saved on the account, meaning the hacker could have begun making purchases on the League of Legends store, or more concerning, if the password was leaked, maybe his other details and credit card were too. This is just a simple example of what Jason was doing, causing havoc on the forums and the whole League of Legends scene. He was like the boogeyman. People were increasingly aware of his actions, and they were now demanding answers from Riot Games. How was this possible? What were Riot doing about it?
2013, man.
These answers appeared on August 13th, where a Riot staff member posted reassuring people that there was nothing to worry about, that Jason was simply a troll, that there was no data breach, everyone was safe, and people just needed to calm down.
But no one
Another
was
Riot account
safe,
posted
in
shortly
fact.
after, echoing this sentiment, stating that the hacks were brute force only and a few accounts impacted, in no way a real data breach. But of course that doesn't make sense, because for clarity, a brute force refers to a trial and error approach to cracking an account password. Imagine throwing the alphabet at a login screen millions of times in quick succession with any number of combinations and
Sorry. That is what has been happening to one of my older accounts for some reason. I think like there's just some stupid ass bot right up that is trying to brute force their way into my account. Just ridiculous. I changed the password again, and I have two-factor authentication on it, so my account is safe. They can't get in there at all, but that's still crazy. I should check if they're still trying to get into the account.
Till you find the password. This method was very popular in the early days of the internet, but nowadays it would be an incredibly poor approach to user security if a company allowed for a brute force attack to occur with any kind of success, which made this explanation incredibly suspect and surely not one that a Riot employee would ever freely hand over to the public. And they didn't, because neither of these two Riot account posts were actually Riot employees. Both accounts were hacked, and it was Jason himself.
Oh my god, it was him all along!
This was all publicly happening, but no one really had any idea the extent
Oh
or
my
levels of
god!
access Jason had acquired. You see, he wasn't just terrorizing the forums or the high-ranking professional players for a laugh, he was also selling rare legacy skins for $200 to $800 each on a third-party forum.
Oh Jesus!
As a result of the chaos, Riot forced users to change their passwords, which is a common response when dealing with a severe data breach.
Yeah.
They also promised to overhaul security, but at no point did they go on in detail about what had exactly happened, who was at risk, or what level of
Holy
security breach had
shit.
occurred. According to Richard Lewis's report, Jason claimed to have access to the details of over 24.5 million accounts. Though, of course, this would be trusting in the word of an individual who called himself God, which is inherently untrustworthy. During the discussion with Jason himself, he planned to sell the data on the black market for millions of dollars, but this is, in my opinion, inconsistent with Jason's actions. Maybe he was going to do this, but as we discussed previously, if this was all financially motivated, it would have been in his interest for the hack to remain quiet. And this was anything but quiet, because for his next performance, he hacked Riot President Mark Merrill's Twitter account and began leaking unreleased Riot video game concepts and images, as well as talking about Jason's earlier hacks. Again, just underlining what he'd been doing. He ended every Twitter post saying, Jason, God?
This guy got such a God complex! Wow!
He even threatened to release more private company information on these games if Mark Merrill didn't contact him privately.
How are you?
1 hour later, Mark Merrill was back in control of his own Twitter account, which begs the question, what was it they discussed? Either way, Riot Games has now finished playing this particular game. Subpoenas were filed to Google and Yahoo, specifically targeting information on the accounts JKing and JasonKing999. These, of course, linked to Jason and his account trading business. Within a month, the Australian cybercrime unit had acquired an address and identity for who they believed to be the notorious Jason. The raid occurred, electronic equipment was confiscated, and the suspect was revealed.
21-year-old
Shane Duffy.
Ladies and gentlemen, I present you Jason.
A young man with Asperger's syndrome who had been homeschooled since age 9. Shane Duffy was then confirmed as Jason, the person who had been publicly going to war with Riot Games for multiple years now, winning every battle and making them look incredibly silly. And it turns out it wasn't just Riot Games that was a victim of Jason. According to Richard Lewis's report, Jason was part of a group, and they were also linked to hacks on Neopets.
Neopets! Oh my god, dude, I used to be huge on Neopets, bro. I used to love Neopets. Any Neopets enjoyers in chat? Any Neopets enjoyers? Bro, I remember how you used to be able to make like your own quote-unquote website on Neopets and stuff. Oh, good memories, good memories. But I lost the account. I don't have the account anymore. I tried recently to look back into it, but no, the account is gone, unfortunately.
Or the esports website.
The fuck is Neopets? Let me, Neopets. Legendary virtual pet game. It's like an online kind of Tamagotchi-esque thing where you get your own pets and you can like treat your pets, you can trade pets. I'm not sure about that one anymore. Bro, it's its own rabbit hole. It's its own rabbit hole. Tamagotchi, but on internet. Yeah.
He even went on to tell Richard Lewis how this all began, which was an initial hack in 2012 on Riot Games, but calling anything afterwards a hack would be wrong, because the rest of it was just down to Riot's ineptitude. You see, they had actually brute forced a password. This wasn't in the League of Legends account system. Instead, it was a senior Riot staff account. Riot even discovered this attack and asked all staff members to change their passwords. But this one senior staff member did not. Using that account, the hackers accessed Riot servers, added a backdoor software, and basically did whatever they wanted for a long time. Again, just for clarity, as Richard states in the article, it's impossible to know whether any of this is true, as it's the word of the hacker himself. But that is his explanation for what happened.
Hey, wait, so he was an employee there? Or am I misunderstanding this?
On to tell Rich on Neopets and several other esports websites. He even went on to tell Richard Lewis how this all began, which was an initial hack in 2012 on Riot Games, but calling anything afterwards a hack would be wrong, as the rest of it was just down to Riot's ineptitude. You see, they had actually brute forced a password. This wasn't in the League of Legends account system. Instead, it was a senior Riot staff account. Riot even discovered this attack and asked all staff members to change their passwords.
But the person
this
didn't.
One senior staff member did not. Using
what an idiot!
The hackers
so it's an idiot's fault. It's a fucking idiot's fault.
Riot servers, added a backdoor software, and basically did whatever they wanted for a long time. Again, just for clarity, as Richard states in the article, it's impossible to know whether any of this is true, as it's the word of the hacker himself. But that is his explanation for what happened, and Riot's details on the situation are unclear. So, with Shane Duffy, or Jason as he preferred, or maybe God, being caught, you would think his reign of terror would all come to an end. But that's where you'd be wrong.
Wait,
because
what?
His most disruptive and disrespectful act was still to come.
Wait, what?
You see, while
There's
on
more?
bail for his incredibly serious crimes, Shane Duffy created a website called lolip-op.com.
Okay.
Even from my own time playing League of Legends, I remember the absolute chaos this website caused in high rank.
Wait. Is that the thing where it's like linked with the Skype thingy thing? Oh my god, bro, this was so long ago.
In games, it was utterly insane. During the data breach at Riot Games, part of this breach included IP addresses for what he claimed was 24.5 million accounts. So users could pay access to this website, input any player account name, and it would return an IP address that would possibly be associated with that player. They could then go to another
Yeah. I remember this. I remember this, bro.
section of the website, input that IP address, and the website would perform a distributed denial of service on the IP address, essentially turning off their internet and dropping them from the game.
This shit actually happened to me. This shit actually happened to me, bro. I was there. I was there, Chad.
It was a crazy service, which was generating Duffy a reported $1,000 per day. Duffy then went on Reddit and defended his actions, as well as bragged about his antics. All in the public eye, of course, and still on bail for his previous activities. Unsurprisingly, he was then arrested once more and had his equipment confiscated
Bitcoin-related fraud offenses.
Would you look at that? Validity to his claims of how widespread the operation had become, the police also confiscated and reported $110,000 in Bitcoin. According to courts, once this finally made it there in 2016, Shane's antics cost Riot Games hundreds of thousands of dollars in damages and much more in loss of goodwill from their customer base. Duffy, of course, pled guilty to 9 charges, which included fraud and hacking. He was sentenced to 2.5 years in prison, with immediate parole and given an 18-month suspended jail term.
Okay.
Meaning he did not go to prison for his actions, in large part due to his Asperger syndrome, which was given as an example of his inability to understand the consequences of his actions.
Oh, shit. Oh my god.
The very first time that Riot Games faced off with the hacker, who may or may not have been the mastermind, but also had help who remain anonymous.
Bro, that's insane. People like this that actually have like something like Asperger's, where they actually don't know the consequences like that. Those are the dangerous ones.
But this was certainly not the last time it happened, or the worst, though likely the most embarrassing. In 2023, the public was made aware of another massive security breach at the company, which resulted in the entire source code for League of Legends and Teamfight Tactics, as well as an old version of their anti-cheat software, being put for sale on the dark web for $700,000. But that is a story for another time. This is the end of Jason's story and his war with Riot Games. A story that was only made possible by the reporting of Richard Lewis and his exhaustive investigation on the subject, which you can find in the video description, and I highly suggest you check it out. Thank you for watching.
Wow. I don't truly understand, but I get the gist of right and wrong. Oh. Often they do understand though, but it's easy to use as an excuse. Well, yeah, that's true. That's also true, but it's also on a case-to-case basis.